Every game has its GOATs, a legend who sets the bar, the name everyone is compared to, the absolute peak of the skill ceiling. But when it comes to poker, there is only one name that comes into mind. Phil Ivey, also known as the Tiger Woods of poker, didn't start out in casinos or private jets. He started out in a cubicle, working a telemarketing job in New Jersey. Now, let's break down the top 5 most iconic hands that made the Tiger Woods of poker a legend. At number 5, we start with a great bluff, a classic Phil Ivey move. Ivey's holding the worst hand in poker, 7 and 2. Across from him, Dario Minieri has 10 and 8, suited and aggressive.
I saw the show that you gave all your lead to Howard later. Shame on you. You had so many chips compared to him, and he chop you.
I had the winning coin flip.
Italy versus the US.
I was winning the coin flip, had one.
You did,
And
yeah.
when we were 3 left, we won it all in. Won a 9, Sandy had ace 3.
Oh,
What was this?
I took 2 shots.
The Italy versus USA, the poker after dark. Eric Lindgren, Howard, and
Interesting hand here. Phil Ivey raised to 3,000 with 7-deuce offsuit, and there is no 7-deuce bounty as we've had in past seasons on high-stakes poker. He just felt like doing it. Now he follows up with a $12,000 bet.
No.
Only person who has anything here is Dario with a flush draw.
Maxi. One more.
Put one more in, Dario. I got this big 7-deuce here. I want to make sure I get all the money in the pot there. Ace is a good card for Phil Ivey. He can continue with his story now, if he wants. Yep. Here comes chapter 3. 30,000, just like he has ace king or ace queen. Dario is capable of doing something here. Does that man look like he's bluffing to you?
Phil Ivey's most important trick is being unreadable. From starting with one of the worst hand possible, he turned garbage into gold by pressuring his opponent fearlessly, and that's why this hand makes into the list.
Probably turn over the 7-deuce here.
At number 4, we've got a sneaky trap, set and sprung by Phil Ivey.
Pair of jacks and a 7. 3 hearts out there for him. 80,000 is the bet.
I've got queen high, but I'll take a stab at it. And look at this! Re-raised by Jackson.
Wow. To 170,000.
Paul Jackson is willing to get into a poker match here. Phil Ivey, though, if he really thinks deeply about this, might be asking himself, well, now wait a minute. If this guy had a jack in his hand, would he re-raise me here?
So he's thinking it, and the question is,
Wow.
will he overthink it?
A re-raise!
Well, there you are. Re-raises to 320,000. It's right back in the face of Paul Jackson.
Nobody connected with that flop, and here they are, raise, re-raise, re-raise.
Nice.
Oh my goodness, Jackson is re-raising. What the heck is going on here?
Re-raising.
Phil lets Jackson do the betting, slow playing every street with precision. While Jackson builds a story, Ivey just listens, until it's time to snap the trap shut.
360.
I don't see how he can possibly continue in this hand. Everything Paul Jackson has done.
All in.
What?
That's why we're here and they're there.
Absolutely astonishing poker.
Not much point thinking, is there?
Just cold calculation. Ivey let his opponent bluff into him the whole way, and picked him off perfectly. That's why this hand earns its place on the list. At number 3, we've got patience, power, and perfect timing. Classic Phil Ivey. Ivey's holding a solid pair, 2 9s. Mercier has ace and 4, looking to outmaneuver post-flop.
And he bets 28-7. Let's see what Phil does here. We know he's not going out.
Who was going to lose the $4 million?
No,
All of us.
No, he just offered. No one.
We offered $3 million.
You offered
Ivey
$2 million.
raises
Firm, who
50,000.
was-
I don't see
was
any
it
way
firm offer?
Jason's calling.
What's in those?
He's all in.
It's one of his.
I don't see how Phil Ivey can call. If Jason had aces or kings, he'd play it the same way. Little glance at Jason. And he calls.
Once or twice.
What a call by Phil Ivey.
Maybe so. Want to run twice or once?
I don't want to do it once.
I could answer that question, Jason. You're going to have to catch your 5 of your ace.
Not to feel so bad. I mean, I see the king 10 and the king 3. Nice hand.
Welcome to the Ivey world, Jason.
He controls the pace, keeps Mercier guessing, and when it's time, he makes the call. Simple, clean, and clinical. No overthinking, just trust in the read. That's why this hand sits at number 3. At number 2, we've got two titans clashing, Ivey versus Antonius.
Patrick Antonius, after a limp from Phil Ivey. Phil limped with the ace-4 to call a raise.
Here's the flop. 10-5 deuce. And Patrick Antonius a top pair. Phil Ivey now with the gut shot wheel draw. Needs a 3 to make that wheel.
You're not planning on doing the whole
5,100.
win bonus?
Quick tip for the audience, if you work out that you've got 7 cards to improve, a quick way to work out what percentage you've got is just to multiply those outs by 4.
7 of diamonds, not a help. And Phil Ivey still with the same 7 outs. Or somehow he needs Antonius to fold.
Which right now is going to be a bit tricky.
Talking about the most penetrating eyes in poker. Patrick Antonius, Phil Ivey, 2 players I certainly don't want to be playing against. 13,000. Pot is now nearly 31,000. 13,000 over to Ivey.
Well, he's reaching for the chips. He's not going anywhere by the looks of things. Well, looks like he's got something more creative lined up. That looks like 33,000 to me.
33,000.
Now this is the dangerous spot for Patrick Antonius. If he calls the 20,000 on the turn, he might be faced with a big bet on the river. And he's going to call this. Pot is now $84,000.
6.
Well, the 6 diamonds doesn't seem to complete anything. Well, I mean, I guess you could say it completed the 3-4, or maybe, just throw this at you, if Ivey had picked up a diamond draw on the turn.
Yeah,
something like Jack 10 of diamonds.
Exactly. Phil obviously knows now he has to bet to win this pot.
All in.
And Phil Ivey's all in.
It's a tough call with just a 10 and a king kicker.
It's $101,000 to call. He overbets the pot. It's exactly the way Phil Ivey would play this if he had a set, or if he made 2 pair, something like that.
Well, he lays it down. It's a great play.
Ivey stays calm, controls the betting, and lets Antonius take the lead. It's not just about cards, it's about control. Ivey took a modest hand and outplayed a monster, and that's why this hand lands at number 2. Before number 1, I would like to showcase another classic bluff as an honorable mention as well.
Raises Barry, but it looks like Lex, who's got a decent hand, suspects that they're both out of line. And he's right. Nice play by Lex, 51-6.
How much more are you playing? 140 something? 130, 140 more?
Doesn't want Barry to know he raised him with air.
I'm all in.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Phil Ivey just went all in with a 5-deuce offsuit. I don't believe it.
I thought you were just angry at Barry.
I am.
That is one of the great bluffs in the history of high-stakes poker.
At number 1, we end with dominance. Phil Ivey versus David Benjamin.
This is interesting. Wow. Hold on a second.
Check.
King, king, deuce. We have 2 players with trip kings. Antonius with trip kings. Ivey with trip kings.
Bet 3,000.
And Benjamin with the flush draw as well. We might see some action from him in this flop.
Pass.
This is an action flop, to say the least. But Benjamin's not stupid. He knows a paired board. He's not going to play a flush draw that strong, is he?
No, but I knew he would at least see this turn card. Oh, wow. What a card for Benjamin's hand.
Look at this. Benjamin
Check.
has the flush on the turn.
Check.
Ivey and Antonius with trip kings. Ivey in terrible shape.
Bet 10,000.
The only thing that's suspicious about this is he's got 2 callers. There's only 1 other king left in the deck. So I don't know if I'm Patrick Antonius if I bet there or not.
Cool.
King deuce suited, king 4 suited. Those are the kind of hands somebody might be in there with.
Cool.
Well,
call.
Go to the river.
And this pot, 44,000. Here's the river.
5.
5 of diamonds. That's going to be an action killer.
I was going to say that's going to crush the action because now there's 4 to a flush on the board.
Check.
Wow, I think
Bet 40,000.
Phil Ivey's plowing into this.
Think about the way the hand was played. If you're Benjamin, you go, okay, well, maybe one of my opponents has a king. Is there a chance the other one's got an ace diamonds?
And Patrick Antonius already folded.
An easy fold for Antonius. But if you're Benjamin,
It's a tough call.
yeah,
It really is.
it's a tough spot.
Absolutely. Especially the way Phil Ivey not doing a thing until the 4th diamond came. I mean, it feels like he has the ace of diamonds.
There's no bluff in this spot. I don't see how you can possibly be bluffing.
Don't think you're going to get a read on Phil Ivey. Wow!
In the end, no pairs, no draws, just instinct. Sometimes the best hand is just knowing what your opponent doesn't have.